Cheyenne Mountain looks harmless in daylight, which is exactly why this story works. No storm rolls in. No night vision grain hides the edges. 5 soldiers step into a Colorado workday and look west together. The mountain is famous enough to carry myths by itself. But this file does not need those myths to become strange. Above the saddle, witnesses report a pale object holding position, not blinking, not drifting, not behaving like weather in that moment yet. The record says they kept looking because the shape felt wrong. Then the oldest enemy of every mystery arrives. Nobody has the camera ready. They look away to solve the phone question, and the sky changes. When attention returns, the reported object is simply gone from the sky. The mountain keeps its ordinary face, which somehow makes it worse. The cold part is not darkness. It is how normal the light remains. Nothing in the frame behaves like a movie trying to scare you. That restraint is what lets the incident crawl under your skin. The authority here is not campfire lore or late-night forum smoke. It is a small stack of official PURSU Release 03 records. D001 preserves the first Fort Carson witness account in the packet. That is the part I like and hate. 5 trained witnesses matter, 0 video matters too. If your answer ignores either side, congratulations, you have built a toy argument. D002 carries the forensic sketch interview and sharper object language. D003 is an official rendering, useful but not event footage. ICA D001 tries the boring explanation, which is exactly why it matters. The case is strongest where testimony repeats and weakest where instruments disappear. That matters because 4 official records leave less room for comfortable dismissal. Now the question is not whether something sounded strange. It is why the same strange shape kept coming back. The witnesses are 5 U.S. Army personnel from the same unit. They are looking toward Cheyenne Mountain from the Fort Carson area. The records keep the sky memory clear, blue, and stubbornly ordinary. That detail matters because the later explanation needs clouds to cooperate. The object is not introduced as a saucer, triangle, or aircraft. It is pale, rounded, quiet, and fixed above the ridge. The group reportedly watches for minutes, not a passing flash. No engine sound arrives to rescue the scene into normal aviation. No exhaust trail writes an easy answer across the sky. The witnesses compare what they are seeing before anyone owns a theory. Shared attention creates pressure, but it does not create telemetry. That is the move. The records do not make the story louder, they make it narrower, and narrow is where this thing finally gets teeth. That is where the mystery stops drifting. A single witness can drift, a group can still be wrong together. But repeated detail is harder to wave away than repeated amazement. That is why the scene stays human before it becomes technical. D002 is where the file stops being broad and gets irritatingly specific. One witness was identified as a former military intelligence officer. The object is described as potato-like, creamy, whitish, and opalescent. It has translucence and shimmer, but not a shiny aircraft skin. The surface carries irregular fish scale panels that refuse clean symmetry. The main body reportedly holds still while the panels move. That is the detail that keeps the easy explanation sweating. A moving object is simple to narrate. A still body with moving skin is worse. No cockpit, wings, windows, exhaust, or friendly aircraft anatomy appears. No shadow is noted, which makes the geometry harder to relax. The file does not prove origin. It preserves an inconvenient shape. The object refuses the shapes pop culture trained us to expect. Its weirdness comes from precision, not from a louder claim. The panels matter because they sound observed, not borrowed from posters. The more specific the description gets, the less comfortable everyone becomes. The story gets mean when the witnesses finally think about proof. This is the good weird. Specific enough to bother you, weak enough to punish certainty. If somebody solves it in one sentence, they are probably selling merch. They break attention long enough to decide who should get a phone. That ordinary human pause becomes the most expensive moment in the file. When they look back, the object is no longer there. The record keeps witness memory, independent drawings, and one official rendering. That rendering is not footage. It is a controlled visual receipt. It gives the memory a face without giving the event a camera. That boundary matters because the image is haunting enough to lie for you. The best source images need the most careful labels attached. This is why the missing video is not a side note. It decides how much weight the whole episode can carry. Without it, every image must admit what it cannot prove. Then the file does the bravest, boring thing possible on paper. It asks whether the mountain somehow made its own ghost. ICA-DO01 proposes sunlight backscattering from snow-covered ground into low clouds. That is not a lazy shrug. It is a physical hypothesis. Snow can throw light. Clouds can become screens. Terrain can deceive witnesses. The analysis also notes no active aircraft or balloons nearby then. It reports no anomalous data and no unknown adversarial capability assessment. For a moment, the dull answer almost gets its hand on the door. Then the words, low confidence, walk in and ruin the clean ending. I love a boring explanation when it earns the room. Snow, clouds, sunlight, sure. But low confidence is doing real labor here, and I do not let interns carry pianos. The best debunks should make you nervous because they might be right. This one gets close enough that the story has to respect it. That respect is what keeps the mystery from becoming theater. The trouble is that the witnesses remember a clean blue sky. The explanation needs low clouds to make the light trick work. The records also disagree on time and duration in uncomfortable ways. DO01 gives early afternoon and roughly 3 to 5 minutes. DO02 moves the sighting toward late morning in about 2 minutes. ICA uses another observation window while still offering the backscatter path. None of that proves the object was extraordinary technology that day. It proves the official explanation has to work uphill the whole way. Weather can fool people. So can memory. So can certainty. The case survives because every easy answer leaves something outside. If the sky was clear, the cloud screen starts disappearing. If the weather report wins, the witnesses take the bruise instead. The file never tells us which bruise finally heals first. The bigger story wants a grand pattern, and the temptation is real. But these records cannot prove hidden interest in underground bases. It can prove something smaller, cleaner, and much more irritating. Official records preserve a specific sighting near a famous mountain. They preserve a vivid object description and a failed capture moment. Cheyenne gives us a weird shape, a plausible light trick, and zero permission to fake certainty. That is not a letdown. That is a mystery with teeth, and it deserves a room. They preserve a rendering that must not become pretend footage, and they preserve a low-confidence explanation that does not close neatly. That is enough. More than enough, if we refuse to cheat. Bigger patterns can wait. This file has enough pressure alone. That restraint is not weakness. It is how the story survives. The scary part is not what we can add afterward. It is what the official record already refuses to settle. It also does not end with a clean weather dismissal. It ends with 5 witnesses, 1 rendering, and 1 possible light trick. The witnesses remember a shape that ordinary language struggles to hold. The analysts offer physics, then mark their own confidence low. Between those 2 facts, the mountain suddenly gets colder again. Not because it hides an answer, but because it refuses one. That is the honest mystery still left inside the record. The object may have been light, the memory may have shifted, but the record still refuses to become small enough to ignore. That refusal is the cold still left inside the mountain. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like button and consider following the channel. You can also leave a comment below to let me know what topic you would like to see me do an episode on. See you next time.